Many believe that the Philippines is currently in the midst of a crisis that in itself will last a long time, and its repercussions lasting generations. As the school year opens, one key concern of the Philippines is the manner in which the nation addresses the education of more than 27.2 million students. Despite rumors of an academic freeze, or essentially a cancellation of classes for the school year, the COVID 19 pandemic has forced public schools to pursue distance learning as their medium of education. The Department of Education, or DepEd, which is the executive department of the government tasked to improve the quality of basic education, officially released the Blended Learning Program, which allows teachers and students to interact despite being geographically remote from each other. And this is to comply with the quarantine restrictions of the Philippines. Now, the new mode of learning will rely heavily on online means of instruction and physical modular means as well. Now, as predicted by many, and as observed based on the current state of the education system, blended learning is far from perfect. A key concern is accessibility. On the side of students, a drop in the total enrollment rate was noticed, as many parents have chosen to pull their children out of schooling. Those that are in school possess concerns such as inadequate resources for online learning, inadequate learning facilities or environment, and an insufficient support from their families. In the case of teachers, a large percentage cannot adapt to the online setting as they do not have neither the connectivity or the technology. And modular based learning possesses its physical concerns as well. Though certain government initiatives have been raised to alleviate these concerns under the education system, it simply isn't enough as of the moment. Now, according to many, the inaccessibility of the new educational system and the constraints that those who are able to access distance learning could give rise to a lost generation of learners, wherein an alarming number of students will not subscribe to the education program. A solution to this problem must be found as a large population of youth without an education may reduce the opportunities of livelihood for underprivileged students and impact the economy in a way that hampers future workers of the nation. The alarming scale at which students have gone helpless constitutes a national educational emergency. And to truly understand this, we need to understand the context of the Philippines. Now, the global health pandemic has put a spotlight on existing inequalities throughout the world. In the Philippines, however, where more than a quarter of the nation's population lives below the poverty line, chief of these inequalities is the socio-economic disparity of the rich and poor. A quarter of the nation living in discomfort with no alternatives, worrying about where their next meal will come from, whether if they will have a job the next day. Without a well educated working class, a majority of the population lacks a stable income, and that harms them. In the long term, the national industries and facilities cannot modernize, which further lower the standard of living for everyone. Now, this will surely be exacerbated unless the administration can provide a reliable and accountable blended education program that can equalize the playing field for the future. For now, however, it appears as though this ideal education program doesn't exist. Now, this begs the question, what can the Philippine administration possibly do? And what is next for the many Filipinos under this education system? To learn more about the education crisis of the Philippines, please watch the other videos and read the contents available in this website. That's all for me.